Now, I'm sure you're familiar, if you haven't read the book, The Handmaid's Tale, which came out, in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s? I don't know. It's been out for a long time. Surely you've seen the TV series, which has now become a franchise. It just keeps going on and on and on. But what Margaret Atwood wrote about in The Handmaid's Tale was the takeover of the United States after a bloody coup, a takeover by Christian fascists, and the establishment of what they called Gilead, the Republic of Gilead. Now, let me give you a plot summary of The Handmaid's Tale. And yes, I got this this is not my source, it's a different source. But here's the plot of The Handmaid's Tale. After a staged attack that killed the President of the United States and most of Congress, a radical political group called the Sons of Jacob uses theonomic ideology, like in theocracy, to launch a revolution. The United States Constitution is suspended, newspapers are censored, and what was formerly the United States of America is changed into a military dictatorship known as the Republic of Gilead. The new regime moves quickly to consolidate its power, overtaking all other religious groups, including traditional Christian denominations. In addition, this regime reorganizes society using a peculiar interpretation of some Old Testament ideas and a new militarized hierarchical model of social and religious fanaticism among its newly created social classes. Above all, the biggest change is the severe limitation of people's rights, especially those of women, who are not allowed to read or write or own property or handle money. Most significantly, women are deprived of control over their own reproductive functions. Full stop. Do you hear what, do you get the connection? This is why I'm talking about this law in Texas, where women are deprived of control over their own reproductive functions. Something Margaret Atwood wrote about 40 years ago. Now, this first novel concludes with a metafictional epilogue, which is described as a partial transcript of an International Historical Association conference taking place in the year 2195, way in the future from what I just shared with you, from the storyline in The Handmaid's Tale. The keynote speaker at this conference explains that this character from the past, Offred, her account of the events of the novel were recorded onto cassette tapes later found and transcribed by historians studying what is then called the Gilead period in the United States. Okay. Do you get this? Do you understand why I'm talking about it? I know you do. Every single move that the Christian fascists make, whether in media or government or law enforcement or the military or these insane, fucked up militia groups, every single move that these men and a few insane women make, to me, is more evidence of just one more step toward Gilead, the Republic of Gilead, here. And it scares me. I have daughters. I have granddaughters. I mean, you can understand why I have a certain specific fear of this bullshit. And then I read about this law in Texas, where all of a sudden the eyes of God will not wear uniforms. The eyes of God, so to speak, will be people down the street, people on the other side of town, someone that you, if you're a woman, someone you run into in your social life. And you may say something like this: well, Ralph and I have only been married for about 8 months, and we're still both young, and we like to get laid. I mean, what the hell, who does it when they're first married? But I'll tell you what, if I were to get pregnant, I just couldn't do it right now. We have, he has to finish his education. I'm just about finished with mine. We're just not ready for a family. So, I would probably take advantage of getting an abortion. Hoo! Bang! Now, what happens when our hapless young married says something like that? Well, in Texas, if you say something like that, the person to whom you said it, if he or she is the type that would be very interested in restricting the privacy of women, I think you know what the next move would be. The next move would be finding a way to discover who you had in mind if you were going to seek an abortion. Did you have, who's your physician? And with innocent questions, that information could be found out very simply, especially if it's someone you've met in a social relationship, someone that you're likely, you think, to become friends with. Oh, sure, woman talk. That's how, just women talk. Conversations among women. But what if the woman with whom our character here, our newly wedded woman, what if that woman, the other woman, is a Christian fascist? Well, that's the reason the story from Texas, this law, it's ingenious in its evil attempt to control women. What is the point in controlling women? Seriously, what is the point in denying women control over their own reproductive organs? What would be the purpose for that? Why would men want to do that? I don't have to draw you diagrams. This has to do with control of women, with the Eve-like situation that the Abrahamic religions believe all women should be put in. Look at what the hardcore Muslims do to women. Look how they're forced to dress. I mean, we used to make jokes, didn't we, 20 years ago after the U.S. invaded Afghanistan, and we saw what the women in Afghanistan were forced to wear. What did we call them? Grill covers, barbecue grill covers. Oh, wasn't that fun to mock them? I don't know. Maybe as a listener, you think I focus way too much attention on this issue of Christian fascism. Huh? Maybe you do. I don't. I really don't, because I've been paying attention for the past 40 years. I couldn't believe something called the moral majority. My attitude about that was, what? Moral majority? What are you talking about? A political organization? It was built on Nixon's the silent majority. I didn't even know what the hell that was. Silent majority? What, right-wingers were silent? Oh, bullshit. But the moral majority. And then the real killer with that baby-faced little prick who put together the Christian Coalition and immediately injected this hardcore fundamentalist Old Testament brand of Christianity into politics. Head first. All stops pulled out. Full speed ahead. Democracy, schmemocracy. We want Christian democracy, which is a contradiction in terms. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.